Now that our drawing is done, we need to dimension all the paths. So we've got our guidelines, which will help us to determine exactly where we place our dimension and projection lines. You can use additional guides to help you position the lines a little more accurately. Everything that you do at this point can always change later. So just estimate where exactly you think things are going to fit. Now we'll be using the line segment tool to draw our lines. So make sure as you drag a line down that you are intersecting with the indices of the guides, and hold the shift key as you drag the line so that way it's nice and straight. Projection and dimension lines will be at 1 point line weight, while the drawing itself is at 2 point. Remember, you're only using the stroke, not the fill, when it comes to the line segment tool. You can either draw individual lines corresponding to individual parts, or if dimensions are just lining up, you can just draw one continuous line, then use the scissors tool to snip at the right lengths. Once we've done our vertical lines, it's now time to do the projection lines, which run horizontally, using the same method of intersecting with our guides. Remember, projection lines don't touch the actual design. They're set apart by 1 millimeter. Projection lines also run over dimension lines by a few mil. We can now snip that long length of line, which really should be 3 lines, not 1. Use the scissors, which is under the eraser tool, and make sure you select the line first. That will isolate the line, and then you can snip it where it intercedes with the guide. It's time now to actually put the measurements into position. The easiest way to do this is by using the transform tool. This simply means you select the line that you want to dimension. That will give you the correct length based on the guides, and take the reading from the transform tool. It is most likely that your dimensions will not be whole numbers, therefore just round up. So this line is 40 point something, just 41. This one's 52 point something, it becomes 52. This one will become 27. Just round up to the closest whole number. Now when you put your measurements or your numbers into position, make sure when you use the type tool that you don't place the type tool on a line. So start away from the line and use 16 point for the size of the type, and then center that number on that line. This is what happens when you click with the type tool on an existing line. Use the transform tool to get the information and put in those numbers in the right place. We need now to put arrowheads on our lines. Go to the stroke tool on the right hand palette. Now make sure you've selected all the lines first. Use the direct selection tool, hold the shift key and select all your lines, and then go to the arrowheads dialog box and choose arrowhead number 9 for the beginning and end of your lines. Do this now for all the other views, making sure that you only show a dimension once. We may want to clear all our guides for this next stage, and let's play some new guides. These will help us find the centers of our holes and our circular forms. First, indicate the cross-section view. Make sure we lock the layer with a design, then take the line segment tool and hold the shift key and drag across. We are then going to use the scissors and clip the line on the edges of our object. We can then select the line inside the object and just convert that into a dashed line. We can just copy an existing dashed line that we already have. And finally, we can select the lines on the outside of the object. Holding the Shift key, you can select both those segments and then just go up to 3 point on the stroke size. We are now ready to place the arrows to indicate just which direction we're facing the cross section. Again, it's just simply creating a line segment and making it into an arrow, and then placing an A at the bottom. Copy that set of arrow and A and paste it under the other thick line to indicate the cutting plane. Let's now dimension the diameter of the hole, which is the circle at the very top view. It's important just to find a location that doesn't interfere with all the other dimensions. So we draw a line that's touching the circle, going down 45 degrees by holding down the Shift key, then click and release the Shift key and then go across to complete that line. Place an arrow at the beginning of the line. We can then type the diameter symbol. The shortcut is Shift Option O. Now to mark the cylinder and the circle, let's find the center and then just drag the line just beyond the edges of the circle and the cylinder. Make sure your dashed line is in fact a chain line. That means you have two separate lengths of line and gaps. On the side view, we only require to show the center of the hole. With all center lines, the line begins just outside the very hole or circle we are marking and finishes just beyond the end of that hole or circle. Finally, we need to dimension the radius of the top section of our candlestick design. So it's a 45-degree line from the center line to the line indicating the arc of that partial circle. And then just give it an arrow at the end and place the dimension at 45 degrees on that line. And let us not forget to put the symbol for the third angle projection and the unit of measure. Our orthogonal drawing is now complete. Now we just need to create an isometric drawing.